Hi, I am kicking around in the kitchen today because it is a very wet and dreary gray Okanagan winter day here, and I wanted to bring you along with me while I got into some new kitchen tools and started some sourdough as well as hopefully a lentil pasta. So let's go open up my new pasta machine. Last time we chatted, it was before my birthday. It is now after my birthday, and my mom got me a pasta maker for my birthday. This guy. There we go. A Star Frit. Comes with 2, 4, 6 specific attachments for different size of pasta, a knife, a cleaning tool, the pasta machine itself, and 2 different measuring cups. I do in fact have a manual powered pasta machine, but the gears actually became out of sync. So when I go to roll pasta on the flat sheet setting, just to make a lasagna sheet, that first step before you're creating your actual spaghetti noodle or cutting it into ravioli shells, whatever you choose to do with it, that gear actually doesn't sync up with the hand crank, so it'll start to skip and I can't use it, so it's broken. It does, however, still allow me to cut pasta, so those gears still work. I just can't get the dough to that flat sheet stage in order to then cut the pasta out of the dough. So I'm excited to use this machine. I will still keep the other one just in case the power goes out and I have an overwhelming need to create pasta noodles, and because I don't like throwing things out. But we're gonna use electricity while we have it. I'm excited for the machine. It comes with a few different recipes and how-tos in the manual. It also has 6 different pasta shapes. We've got panini, we have fettuccine, spaghetti, spaghettini, an angel hair, so super skinny noodle as well, which I was thinking it would be kind of cool to use with maybe a rice dough and do some like vermicelli style noodles. I'm not sure if this machine has that capacity. I'm not sure if a different dough texture would work, but that's something I'm going to be excited to play around with because I love me some pho or some vermicelli noodles and some kind of, you know, salad-esque creation. Because I can't do anything simple, I'm actually going to try and create a lentil pasta. We have been trying to incorporate lentils and beans and other things into our diets. I've also been trying to ease up on some gluten consumption, not really intently. I still put away a loaf of bread. I'm not opposed to gluten, but it's also a fun way to try just to add different nutrients, different flavors, different techniques, diversify as it were. New year, new me, same old over taking on of projects. Would it probably be smarter to use my pasta machine with a regular pasta dough for the first time? Yes. Does that mean I'm going to do that? No. First step, however, is to turn just dry lentils into a flour. How you do that is by pulverizing the heck out of them. I don't know how much pasta I'm making, and I don't know how much lentil dough this is going to make, but also, have I mentioned I've never done this? And you shouldn't listen to me. Side note, I am doing this in a magic bullet, so it's taking quite a bit of time. I can only do like maybe a cup, half a cup of lentils at a time. I only have the magic bullet, or I have my immersion blender, and this is really dusty. So we're gonna go slow with the magic bullet and smudge. Oh, this is Smudge. She's a new addition. She's very vocal. She likes to go on tables, even though she's not allowed. And oh yes, yes, she's a good kitty. We'll see. See all that dust? That is why I didn't want to do this with the immersion blender. I feel like that's quite a bit already. Oh my goodness, look at that. Smudge. You're not supposed to be on the table. I had to turn the light on because I've been reading and it's dark, but there's no recipe for red lentil pasta with my pasta machine. So I'm going to follow the recipe for buckwheat pasta because that is also gluten-free, and I figured like the lack of gluten in this dough would be the variable for its capacity to be good. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna follow the buckwheat pasta recipe, but we're gonna use red lentil flour instead of buckwheat, both of which are gluten-free. So I feel like their textures and their capacity to hold together are gonna be more similar than regular flour. I probably should have done the sourdough starter first because you put the ingredients together and you're done. This is like more intensive, and the sourdough could be just like fermenting nicely on the counter right now, but it's not because I started the pasta. It's all in here, ready to go. Well, I have the flour in the pasta machine, just cracked my egg, got my water, it's all blended up, ready to go, and the power went off. So, pause. It is hard to have a kitchen day without power. I could bring in the generator to use the pasta machine, but I'm gonna switch gears here, I suppose, and hopefully make the sourdough starter. However, I only have partial recipe in my possession. The other part of that recipe is on the internet, and I don't have that because the power's out. So I'll see how much of the recipe I have written down on my phone, and if I understand it enough to whip together a sourdough starter, and hopefully halfway through that process the power comes back on. It's been a day. Turns out that I remembered to push go on the kettle before the power went out, so cheers to hot tea. While I was getting my tea, I was thinking about the fact that Mercury is now in retrograde. And I know there's a lot of jokes online about blaming all of your problems on Mercury, and that happens a lot. I can see that happening. However, my last 2 days has really has been very Mercury retrograde-y. Last night, on the way home from dinner with my brother, my mom and I went out for a combined birthday dinner of sorts because we both have birthdays right after Christmas, so my brother took us out for dinner. It was lovely. On the way home, we were driving separate cars. We got onto the gravel portion of our road where it just turns into 4 inches of sheer ice. Normally this doesn't happen in the winter because it's cold, so we have been hanging around 0 degrees and just dipping below into the negative for about this whole week. Right now it's actually pouring rain out, which is really abnormal for January. I mentioned earlier in this video that we have March weather in January, which is concerning. So last night coming home, we get to the gravel portion where the road is essentially made up of ice. On the pavement, it's just pavement and it's wet because it's not freezing, right? So we get onto the gravel portion of the road. That is an ice/snow road in the winter. And we make it maybe 1 kilometer before my car just stops going forward. I didn't crash, I didn't hit the ditch, but I had no ability to move my car. We both have front-wheel drive sedans, regular small cars, which, yes, living where we live is maybe not ideal, but we also commute a lot, so you have to factor in the fact that larger vehicles, 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, trucks, etc., for the amount that we drive, can get pretty costly when it comes to gas. It's at least an hour drive for me to go to a town that has a Walmart, so, and that's just one way. It's a lot of driving for like a big truck. That being said, if you only have a 2-wheel drive car, sometimes you can't make it home. So Mom and I both were just stuck. Our cars wouldn't go forward, backwards. I tried to like rock my car into motion. We had a bit of traction if we rode the shoulder, but it was pretty slick. We waited an hour and a half for the gravel truck to come, and in the meantime one of our neighbors also got stuck and the gravel truck came. So Mercury is a big transportation planet. It's one of the fastest moving planets. It is the fastest moving planet in the sky, and rules over transportation, technology, communication, and the sorts. So last night we definitely got stopped in our transportation ability. We had to follow the gravel truck all the way home. We had to wait about an hour and a half for the gravel truck to get here in the first place. And we live so far up the road, we had at least 20 Ks to go. So we were following the gravel truck to our home, and we stopped a few times because he had to figure out if he had enough gravel to get us all the way to our house and also be able to turn around and make sure the truck makes it back to town, because that's how icy it is. He almost got the truck stuck when he stopped where we were. He had to put the chains on, had to dump a bunch of his gravel in order to get the truck moving. It was really icy. We've been out here for 18, 20 years, and there's only been maybe 3 or 4 times that the road has ever been that icy, and it's because we've been hanging around the 0 degree mark where we freeze and then we melt and we freeze and we melt, and it's not cold enough for all of this humidity to turn into snow, so it's just been pouring rain, which is really not ideal on an ice road. So that's my first Mercury retrograde encounter. And Mercury hasn't been retrograde for very long, so I feel like this is going to come in threes and then I'm going to be in the clear. But last night, Mercury made itself known. We did, although, have a lovely opportunity to meet one of our neighbors who's also lived out here for 20-something years, and we didn't know each other, so that was kind of neat. Now, my second Mercury retrograde situation would be the fact that the power is out today, when all I had planned for today would be to film, use the kitchen, create pasta, get a sourdough starter going. I've got a load of laundry in. I have some work that I need to do online, so Mercury. Not often do I actually blame Mercury transit for events, and I'm not blaming it for what's going on right now, but I do love when I notice the stars and their inconvenient timing in my life. Anyway, that's my story time. I've got my tea. I have an audiobook downloaded, so I'm going to see what I can get going for the sourdough starter, and I'll keep you guys posted. I messed it up. I did 45 grams water and 60 grams, no, I did 45 grams flour and 60 grams water, which means I messed this up. This is wrong. Again, start over again. Consider us sourdoughing. The recipe or the sourdough starter that I'm creating I actually got from the Elliott homestead. Her name is Shay. She does a lot of wonderful recipes, home scratch cooking, so I will link to the video where she explains this because I am not an expert. All I did was combine things to the proper grammage this time. The first time I got it wrong. So I'm following Shay from the Elliott Homestead's directions. This is a dry sourdough starter. You don't have to feed it as much. You keep it in the fridge. There is only 2 of us that will be consuming bread off of this sourdough starter, so I don't need copious amounts of sourdough starter like the traditional kind of leaves you with, and I don't want to waste it. So I'm gonna end the video here today, guys. I know we were a little all over the place. I got to show you my new pasta machine. We started a sourdough starter, but the power is still out. We gotta get a fire going. See what's going on out there in the world, see if I can get connected to some people and figure out when the power is coming on. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a slice. Smudge is losing her mind. Gonna take Ripley on a hike. I will keep you posted on my sourdough starter and on the lentil pasta if I ever finish it. As always, may the force be with you, and I will see you all back here very shortly with another video. Bye-bye.